Get going here. Welcome everyone. This is Adam Beebe of Latonas.com, and we are here for the Beer in the Evening open house. I'm joined by Chris Hughes, the owner of the site. Chris, please say hi.
Hi there.
And I will advance to the next slide. This will also be later. Again, I'm Adam Beebe. This listing, beerintheevening.com, is fully discussed on our website. We can provide you with a full prospectus of the site upon receipt of a signed NDA, so all you need to do is request it, as well as Chris has been very good about answering questions. So there is more information that you have access to, people listening now, and also to the recording. Reach out to me. I'll show you my contacts at the end of the program here. But it's adam@latonas.com, and it's all in the listing on latonas.com. If you haven't already dialed in, a little housekeeping here, please do so now. You can also use your computer and integrated audio to listen in. Everyone except myself and Chris are on mute. You can ask questions via the question feature. They will come directly to me. I will either ask them verbatim then, or we've either handled it or will handle it later. That's really it. What we're dealing with here is a age site. Asking is 595,000, and it is a directory site, if you will, and also gets quite a bit of a few different types of revenue. What you are seeing here is current through July. Chris will be able to get me August data. Obviously, we just moved into December. So these annual revenue, expenses, traffic, all these are accurate through July of 2014. And people listening, if you haven't registered for an account on Latonas.com, you can easily do so. Click on those hyperlinks and they'll give you more information as it relates to revenue, expenses, uniques, and page views. They'll break it down monthly for you. Chris, this is where I kind of be quiet for a while. I'll put myself on mute, and I'm going to let you really just address the history of the site. I know it's been in some manifestation around since 2001.
Okay.
Why don't you take it away?
Okay. I acquired the site in 2007 from some friends. They set it up in 2001 as a guide to pubs that they had visited around London. And they started blogging, and then slowly but surely they would get people sending them requests to go visit pubs nearby where they'd been. And they started adding these pubs, and slowly but surely then more people said, oh, this pub needs updating, it doesn't have a jukebox anymore, or it does have a pool table, or it's open on Sundays now as well. And so they turned it into basically, I guess in 2001 it was more a directory, but then over time it's really sort of manifested and changed into what is basically a review site now. It's become the largest pub review website in the UK. It gets the most traffic, it gets the most reviews, it gets the most ratings, and it's got the most venues on there as well. Users submit the venues now. It's not something that we do day to day. We don't have to go and search for them. I mean, all the pub chains happily will work with the site. They always want the up-to-date information because obviously it's a big advertising tool for them. But as you get the site, since I took it over in 2007, has had various facelifts, and I've taken more of a commercial approach to it than the previous owners, who really were running it for a hobby. And the reason they sold it was because it was getting really too busy for them to deal with day to day. They had full-time jobs, and it wasn't something they wanted to deal with. So I took it over, and I was already running some of the web properties and had quite a long experience in setting up web properties and selling them. And when I took it over, I did a support system to it so we could track all the queries coming in from venue owners and also visitors of the site. And I also contacted various pub chains and breweries as well, and worked in partnership with with them, and also advertising agencies as well. There's various different revenue streams and different avenues I went down over the years. So to summarize, basically where it is now is it's the equivalent of like a TripAdvisor, but just purely for pubs and bars based in the United Kingdom. Users do submit venues for Europe and America and Canada and places like that as well, but we don't list any of those purely because the back-end system does need modifying to allow, I'd say, the US zip codes and things like that as well. Currently it's set up just for UK postcodes, and so when you put that in, it gets the coordinates and plots it on a Google map and everything. But at the minute, we don't add anything else. The other thing is we don't feel comfortable with verifying the data in European cities when we're not familiar with how the suburbs or towns or cities or anything like that work compared to the United Kingdom. But it's something that somebody could easily do if they've got experience in dealing with properties, across
When
Europe
did you
and such.
when did you take over the site? We're on the way back right now, so you,
Around 2007. So if you can see, about September. In fact, it was actually September 2007.
okay. So we are looking at a very established site which has changed its business model
Hmm.
as time progressed. Um, Chris, I'm going to be driving the PowerPoint here. I'm going to
Okay.
be asking you some questions as they come in, also questions I prepared. Essentially, expound upon what you see when you want to. What I'm looking at here is a large amount and a stable profile of traffic. Why don't you comment on what we're looking at right now?
Okay, with regards to the stable amount of traffic, yeah, Google has recognized from an early date that it was obviously a genuine site because it's been around for so many years. Typically, we can add a venue to the site and it will become in the rankings, usually on the first page, usually quite high up on the first page, if not the first result, within a matter of days, because Google knows that's exactly the sort of, when we add a new page, that it's another venue, and we're an authoritative site for that. The little spikes and dips you can see is especially around Christmas when or there's Easter breaks or anything like that. A lot of office workers use the site instead of obviously doing whatever they're meant to be doing at work. They're on the site quite a lot during the day, Monday to Friday. And that generally means that around Christmas, just before Christmas and over between Christmas and say New Year, the traffic sort of halves near enough. But that's, well, I would say that sort of compensated by basically just before New Year and just before Christmas, the traffic surges because obviously there's a lot more parties. And in January, there's a lot more, so obviously a lot of office parties and, well, not office, sorry, a lot of parties for sort of people that work in retail. So again, we get a lot of inquiries and the site sort of goes up then as well. The summer's the other time usually there's a dip. July and August would generally the traffic isn't bad. It's probably only 15-20% less than it would be on any other normal month, but the revenue is usually less on those months than any other, purely because the advertisers don't spend in the summer, pretty much like most web properties, because most people are already outside and not on the computers.
Let's touch upon this right now. What do you do to get traffic? We can see obviously it's a pub review site in the UK, and that's where the vast majority of the traffic
That's it.
comes from.
Regarding what we actually do for getting traffic, I have to be honest with you, absolutely nothing. Just add properties to the site, just keep the content updated, and that's it. Don't do any search engine optimization. Don't do any marketing whatsoever. Don't partner backlink with anybody, anything extra than we need to. Because it's an authoritative site in the UK, as seen as the leading pub site and bar site. A lot of people, if they're going to write a review for, say, one of the major newspapers or something like that, they'll link to us over anybody else straight away. So we get lots of really high-profile links in anyway. Regarding search engine optimization, although we don't actually do anything, obviously we keep up to date with what Google is doing and what changes they're making, and if there's any changes, we try and implement it in our pages. But I'll be honest with you, 99% of the time we haven't done anything, and even all the different changes that Google have rolled out haven't made a difference on our site traffic whatsoever.
Content is king, obviously, so that's great. That
Hmm.
speaks well for the quality of the site. I've advanced to explain I mean, you've got some presence here. Explain what you're doing with.
Yeah, because I'm not a programmer by any means. I'm more commercially orientated. So what the site does need, it does need integrating to Facebook. At the minute, we have what would be classed as an old school registration and login system. You literally register on the site, click an email to verify your account, and that's it, you're on there. We don't, we have a Facebook profile page, we've got a Twitter account, we don't actually have a Google Plus page, but people obviously do share our links across all the social networks, and that's where the traffic's coming from. We do, when we add venues to the site, we do a blog post, and then we go and share that blog post on our Twitter account and Facebook page. But that is it, and I wouldn't say that's where the majority of those sessions are coming from at all. I would say those are from people sharing a venue amongst themselves to go meet up, but maybe in an event invite on Facebook or something like
Sure.
that, perhaps.
That would be consistent with what you, as you described, the traffic and such. A lot of backlinks, a lot of referring domains. You've already mentioned that you don't do link exchanges, that there's not a lot of effort here. This is just speaks to the quality of the content. Care to expound on anything here?
Yeah, I mean, the numbers, show it, as you're right, never worked for backlinks at all. In fact, one of the large pub companies, Samuel Smith, up until recently didn't have a website and used to just refer their customers to our website to look for their venues. That's how, authoritative we were, really. With regards to like the educational and government backlinks and so on, there are so many different sites out there. I'm surprised when I've got friends that email me occasionally with, "Oh, did you know you're in here? We've been mentioned in books." You name it, it's all over the show, to be honest. So it's really good that we don't have to work for the links. A lot of people do request as links all the time, but to be honest, they're never obviously from credible sources as such, so we don't usually follow up with that. We don't have a links page out either. We
Excellent.
do link to the individual pubs if they're a paying customer, but I'll go into that later.
Good stuff. Okay. This speaks a bit also about the backlink breakdown. Anything relevant you see here?
Not overly, I would say, to be honest. No, I mean, like I say, regarding the links in and so on, I mean, a lot of people talk about where they've been, I guess, um, and I've linked to us with regards to us linking out. Again, it's very, sort of only to the actual
Pretty direct.
direct
You just
pubs
yeah.
sites themselves.
You don't work a backlink program. I mean, you've already said it a few
No.
different ways. This is just a visual, which really isn't as applicable. And this will obviously show some of the referring. Foursquare. Well, okay,
Yeah,
obviously.
we were one of the first companies when Foursquare was
Excellent.
starting to create brand pages. We were one of the first companies to get a page on Foursquare, and they created it, which allowed us to then list venues on there. And so what we did is we did a scheme where the paying venues got a free listing on Foursquare. We sort of recommended that they go to them as a premium venue. Um, Foursquare's obviously changed so much since then, and their apps have changed and so on, that obviously we get traffic in. Anyway, I wouldn't say Foursquare's a massive sort of inbound traffic property for us at all, to be honest. I do see it crop up in logs and stuff quite often, but it's not a major thing.
Okay, good stuff. SEM Rush. This is a public page anyone has access to. This was actually pulled on the 13th of August, I see. But 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it's going to be consistent. We'll get into keywords in a moment with a different slide. Um, looking at the traffic price, looking at really just a quality SEM profile from what I can see. Um, Anything you care to comment on this?
I'm not sure what the anomaly is in the in that chart there at all. Is that 400 times the normal amount of traffic? The traffic certainly wasn't 400 times that amount of traffic during that time, so I don't know how they were reporting it then. But the keywords and everything, it's like I say, all the traffic is all organic. We've never run a Google AdWords or any other paid ads campaign on the site, so I'm
Okay.
not really
Well,
not really
I
sure.
can get clarification on that if someone deems it relevant, but
Sure,
anyone listening now and anyone listening in the future can obviously go to SEM Rush.
of course.
It's there for the taking, so to speak. Um, these are, I would imagine, obviously pubs that you have.
That's right, yeah. I mean, there's absolutely hundreds of pubs with the same name and so on. So these days, people, I mean, to a certain extent, consumers still type in Red Lion or something like that, but then they'll get back probably 800 that we've got on our site. So yeah, you'll see people putting in the place afterwards. And obviously, our common nickname is Bite instead of typing in beer in the evening because it can be a bit of a mouthful for people.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, the competitors in the organic search at the bottom, they're definitely, I would say, our most common competitors.
Okay, fair enough. This is a good thing to see, and we can touch upon August if you have that data immediately available. But we're obviously seeing an increase in traffic. What do you attribute that to?
Me spending more time on the site. Basically, for the last couple of years, I have spent very little time on it because I've just had other things going on, and that's the reason why I'm selling it because I've got other things going on. But I've had a bit more time this year to spend on it, and I've been spending only a few hours. Some weeks probably the most I've spent is 20 hours on it. But it does show that when you start doing some work on it, that Google will reward you. Um, which is the same with any web property, obviously. But obviously, it's a lot quicker, the reward on our site. That's already well established.
And I think
August, I can get the figures to you, no problem, and to anyone that wants them. Again, there's a slight uptick. It's not as big as maybe the previous months, but then it's the summer months still.
that's
It's
fine.
really only going to start happening around sort of
Reasonably
September, October.
consistent with July. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's good. And look, what we're seeing here is since April, a very healthy incline. Um, if you were doing something that really wasn't anything other than just working the content that you have, the chances are that would not uh, allow you to do that and see this uptick that we've seen month after month. Um,
Absolutely.
Increase in uniques as it doesn't overly relate to page views. Have you done something differently on the site?
No, again with the page views, I think what you'll see is if you see December 13, that is what I touched on earlier, is on how people aren't looking at as many venues and stuff. Then January they are when it comes to New Year. February you've got Valentine's Day. March there's St. Patrick's Day with the drinking. April there isn't really much, and then you start going into Easter and everything as well. And then we had the World Cup this year, so the World Cup's a bit of a strange one. It can bring some traffic, but not as much traffic as you would think, because pretty much every venue in the UK would be showing the football. You don't need to go
Sure,
to it. A lot
sure.
of people come to our site to look to see if a venue's showing a rugby or football match or whatever. So that's why the traffic is a little bit strange, I would say, to that. We haven't made any other changes that would affect the page views there.
Okay, fair enough. What we're seeing now, Chris, is really something that only you can discuss. This is your admin section, so why don't you
That's
walk
right.
me through that?
Okay, this is the comment section. Basically, this is listing the most recent comments. So the most recent comments are listed on the front page anyway of the site for users to see. The back-end system, this is exactly the same, but there's a little bit more detail. So obviously you can see who the user was, at what time they were logged in at. These comments here aren't actually the latest ones there. Clearly, what I did is for this screenshot, I actually just picked a pub at random, and it shows them in chronological order, reverse order actually as it is. So it's showing you the oldest comments there, and the screenshot, if I kept scrolling down, it would go to the present day. But you can quite easily identify whether if someone's trying to game one of the reviews or one of the pubs or not by submitting several good or bad reviews, because you can see the IP address at a glance. You can click the IP address, see if they've got any other accounts as well registered to that. And then on the right hand side, you can blacklist just that one comment, or you can tick box it, and then at the bottom you've got the same do batch comments, and it will blacklist them all. And then immediately it will keep them in the database, but it will just mark them as blacklisted, so they won't appear on the site in public. When you go back to the admin page, you'll be able to see the grey cell. The cells will be sort of darker than the other ones, which show they're blacklisted. And at the top left-hand side, you can also put some little bits in there. You can put in 100 or something at the first bit, and it'll show you 100 comments. Or you can put in the pub's unique ID number. It'll take you to that pub, or you can just put in a customer's a user's username or whatever, and it will just bring up the comments by that user.
What's the site built on? Back end total? What's it built on?
It's Perl, all built in Perl and SHTML.
Excellent. Okay.
Okay,
I just advanced to this. So go ahead.
Okay, this is basically part of the admin section where you're editing a venue. So here you can edit the images of the venue that have been uploaded by the users. You can see the comments, which is the previous page we just saw. Edit facilities. Facilities allow you to, it's basically a tick box system, so you can tick whether they do Sundays or whether there's a car park or anything like that. CPub page literally takes you to the public page. Types lets you list also the sort of venue it is, whether it's a wine bar or whether it's a rock music pub or anything like that. And then add visit. Well, originally when the site was built, they used to go and visit every venue that was added. And that was obviously fairly feasible until we started adding them all over the UK. So the add visit bit was basically they added the venue to the site, and then they'd click add visit when they did, and it would used to say on the public page when they had visited the site, sorry, the venue. Then you've got the name, address, obviously standard details. OS grid reference allows the plotting on the map, which is what I talked about before, and on the right hand side there's a get from street map, and when you put in the postcode and add the venue and click get from street map, it automatically fills in the OS grid reference details for you. The phone number, you put in the phone number there, no problem. That is not showed publicly on the site. A premium rate number is shown on the site instead, and I'll go into that later. Website address, you can put that, hard code that in there if you want. Again, that is only displayed if the customer has upgraded the venue. Chain, obviously, is self-explanatory if it's part of a pub chain. Same again with the brewery. Then you can put a visited yes or no. You could also put your own rating on there as the admin if you want to rate the venue a 6 or a 10 or whatever, and you can change the visit date and then update. Simple as that. Oh, sorry, just to add that when you do click update, then the system adds it to a queue, and then within a few minutes the published page is on the server.
Great.
As a static page.
Okay. More admin.
Yeah, again, this is in the admin section. If you just type in a pub name, then I think I typed in Red Lion, and so here we go. There's 1,261 different versions of Red Lion, the old Red Lion or the Red Lion or whatever you want to call it. Again, you'd have to put in the postcode or a town to sort of narrow it down. You can click on any of these and see the actual venue itself, and it'll take you to the editing page, or click File Location. And the little camera signs on the right-hand side are just to show that that venue has a photo approved and uploaded already for it.
Okay.
This is the main page of the admin system. From here, you can type in the pub name, etc., search there, and put those basic features. Never use those basic features really, but you just type pub name and postcode, and then hit search, and then it will come back with the list of venues within a few miles that are called the same thing, or maybe if it's a different name, or it'll say it can't find it, and it gives you an option to add the venue there and then. Down the left-hand side, you've got various links, so you can add a pub, look at the comments, which we looked at before, looked at comments that have been reported, most comments per venue if all of a sudden the venue's getting a lot of comments, convert suggestions. A lot of these old links were from the old admin system where people could submit things, but unfortunately it didn't do any spam or error checking, so you would find occasionally if you went to the convert suggestions link, about 200 entries from some sort of robot trying to sell handbags more than actual 200 venues to add. So I changed all of that, and now there's a different system which uses capture and so on. Again, down the left-hand side, real counties and so on will list if someone submitted or edited a venue and the county's got a slightly different spelling than the actual proper county name. They're all fairly self-explanatory, to be honest. Pending images obviously is where the images are to upload, and you just click on that and it'll list all the images, and then you can approve them, yes or no.
Okay. Not that we're going to have a revenue slide, I know that you have a feature where venue owners can have more access to uploading or to affecting their listing and contact with you. We'll get into that.
Sure.
But that just jogged my memory right there.
Yeah.
More admin stuff. What do we got here?
Yeah, this is a ticket system that I subscribe to. This is one of the one of the expenses. This is called Supportly. It's a ticket-based system by email. So there's various feedback forms on the website for adding a new venue or submitting a complaint or about another user or a venue or just a general inquiry, whatever it may be. they all go via email straight to this back system that isn't hosted by me. It's externally hosted, and they get put into these little bits here, and then you can just click on what you want to look at, whether you want to look at feedback, general feedback from the site, comments that have been reported because they're false, or someone's got a typo in it or whatever. And then it's got pubs, which that's the list of number of new venues to add. And then it's got some premium ones as well. Premium corporate event and jobs allow there all the individual tickets from the people that are paying. As you can see, there's hardly any of those. The most common one is comments, really. But this is a general screen you can see of the order they come in and how many you get each day. So there's some various suggestions there for some new venues to add. Then there's a general inquiry that could be about anything. The one thing to say with the tickets is that because consumers don't really read everything before they submit a comment or a feedback, you do get a lot of feedback which you can delete immediately. People saying they've left, a phone in the venue, or can they book a dinner for Sunday for 4 people, or is it possible, can I have the number from such a girl from behind the bar, all those things. And because people think they're actually contacting the venue in itself and not a website about it. So there's some stock replies where we just basically click the ticket, someone says they've left something, and then you hit the stock reply and it inserts you've contacted us and not the venue in question, please contact them. So a lot of those can be easily removed. It's just more of an admin process more than actual sitting there and typing out all these things.
Sure, pretty intuitive. Here's where, and when you're talking about this slide, Chris, if you would, there are a variety of different, the majority of the revenue comes through one source. You have other sources of revenue. Why don't you touch upon that as you discuss the revenue and what we're looking at?
Yep, sure. Okay, so there's various different revenue streams. Yeah, there's Google AdSense, that's the main one. That's about 60% really of the revenue. And then the rest of the revenue is made from phone revenue, which is the premium rate numbers, and I'll go back through all these in detail. And then there's also affiliate bookings from laterooms.com, and the other revenue stream are the premium accounts via the venues themselves. So to go back to AdSense, we use standard 3 ads per page. We did experiment at first, but it seemed to work, so we didn't want to change it. Just had 3 banners, leaderboards basically on each page, top, middle and bottom, simple as that. They're not on all the pages, they're on about 75% of the pages currently. The pages that they're not on are perhaps the one that are the non-venue pages, like the listing. So if you type Red Lion in Northampton or something like that, the list of pubs that come back on that page may only have 1 advert on there. So there's still optimization, more ads can still be added, no problem. And obviously experimenting with different size ads is the usual that can be done as well. Did try different ad networks, but AdSense obviously works perfect and it's all fully automated. So that's one revenue stream. The premium rate numbers, that requires you basically to get the landline, a geographical number of the venue itself, which is easy enough to do. You can either get that from finding them on Google yourself, or somebody submits it, or going to the chain or brewery that own the venue and finding a list of numbers from them. You put the number in the admin section, and the site then displays a standard premium rate number with a reference number next to it. And what happens is customers can phone, if they want to phone the venue to book a dinner there, or they want to find out if there's any jobs there, or whatever they want to find out, they phone this premium rate number, and it asks them for a reference number, which is next to the number. They put in the 5-digit code. That 5-digit code is actually the unique pub ID anyway, so that matches up with our system, and then it just rings straight through to the venue itself. The venue just gets a call like normal. They've no idea it's come from our website, and the customer is then billed per minute, and we get a cut of that. And that cut, again, is paid monthly to us, sort of in arrears by a month, just like Google, really. And that's fully automated. They self-bill and everything. You don't need to do anything apart from provide a bank account to them. And you can send them a CSV format file with new and updated numbers as and when you wish, and they just import it and it's done. They do have an admin section. I haven't provided screenshots for that, but I can. And the admin section just shows you the calls per day and how long the calls were. That's all. Most calls on average are only like sort of a minute or so. If you think about phoning up a restaurant or something to book it yourself, you'll know that obviously you're not really on the phone for a very long time. And so it's a bit like ads in a way. It's sort of, the sheer number of calls and everything makes the revenue. And so when it comes towards Christmas and New Year, those calls really spike when people are desperate to find last minute venues for parties or meals or New Year's Eve events, things like that. So the next revenue other than that is late rooms. On every page, we've got a little link and it says hotels nearby. It was just a little test at first to see if it was any good. And funnily enough, it is. People seem to click hotels nearby because perhaps they're going to go to a different town or city on work, and they're looking for somewhere to eat and drink whilst they're there on an evening. And then also they click the hotel, and so they click the hotel, and we get 7% of every booking via late rooms. Again, that's in arrears by over a month, and obviously it's only on the confirmed bookings when they've been and stayed. The final revenue stream is for the premium venues. Now they can either buy a subscription, which is monthly or yearly. The yearly one, they get 2 months free compared to paying monthly. It's billed to their credit card every month. We use WorldPay as a credit card processor. They're absolutely no problem again. Again, they do self-billing, and you just need to provide bank account details, and the money just gets delivered in your account 4 weeks in arrears. Every Friday it appears in your bank. So that's fully automated. The system sends you an email when someone's paid. The customer gets an email when he's paid. He creates his login and password on the site, and he has access as soon as he's paid. And as soon as he stops paying and it runs out, then he can't log in and do anything. What it allows him to do is it allows him to update his details, so he can update the venue if he changes name, the venue, if he changes the phone number. If he wants to put his website address on there, he can do that. And if he wants to add more photos, he can as well. And there's also a very basic stats. It just literally says how many page views or his venue has had each month in a little graph. That's all. I mean, there's a lot more data that's recorded in the database, but that's all. There's been no development work done on it. It was just reskinned the admin area for the venues. The other thing it allows them to do is submit they've got their own feedback forms in their area, their own private area, which allow them to submit if they want a new job or event listing. And also if they want to contact support directly, that's the way they do it, so it doesn't get buried within all of the standard pub inquiries and so on. So the revenue is all over the show, although that graph does make it look like it's completely plummeted. Obviously, if you look on the left-hand side, it does start at 10,000 and go down to 7,000, so it's not zero by any means. That is just basically down to the lack of the site being updated, and I guess Google not showing maybe more relevant AdSense ads on there, perhaps. The phone revenue and everything, again, a lot of phone numbers needed updating. There's a new batch going off. They haven't had a new set of phone numbers from us for several months now, and a lot of new venues have been added since then and updated. A lot of venues, for some reason, when they change hands, either close down and reopen or just literally get rebranded. For some reason, they like to change their phone numbers. I'm not sure why, but they do, and so obviously the old numbers don't earn any revenue from that at all. There's been a bit of a drop in the late rooms affiliate sort of bookings. Whether that's because people are booking more hotels via apps now instead of via the web, I don't know. It's difficult to tell because unfortunately late rooms don't tell you how many people have ever clicked through the links, and they don't give you any idea of visitor stats at all. They just tell you the bookings. Other than that, the actual premium venue booking, venue subscriptions, monthly and yearly, they've been standard all the time because there's not a huge amount of them, not hundreds or anything like that. The revenue spikes occasionally when somebody buys a yearly account, or let's say you have 4 yearly sales in a month. That makes quite a big difference compared to just 20 monthly ones, in a month. But that's consistent with every month, really. It doesn't really change.
Thanks for going in detail. That's basically that covers everything, and we're looking at the expenses graph for everybody listening, live or in recording. The expenses are all denoted in Latonas. Obviously, you have server costs. What else? I don't have it in front of me. What else?
Yeah, Okay, well, again, the spikes are they're quite sharp, those spikes, but again, the difference there is only $40, and that's basically domain renewal. There's nothing major there. There's several domains the site has. It's got 3 domains, and they're
Okay.
just domain renewal there. Monthly outgoings, yeah, there is a physical server based in London. Then there are various cloud servers which host the images and backups and database server. And then externally as well is this ticket system, which I already told you about, which we pay a subscription for. So the costs are very minimal and very, again, all fully automated.
Clear enough. And I know that your day to day has been increasing as of late. What is required? Also, this is a hot topic in the industry. An hour of your time, maybe,
Okay.
maybe, well, and let me just kind of explain your background. You said you're not a programmer because an hour of your time, given your skill set, maybe a little bit different than mine, maybe a little bit different than others. So kind of touch upon that, just saying, hey, here's what I do. Here's what my skill set. This is the hours that it takes.
Okay. Well, my skill set, I would say, like I say, I'm very commercially orientated. I'm more of a product manager than a designer by any means, or a developer. I can, fumble my way through code and play around in Photoshop if I need to. But I can. One thing I have done is I'm self-taught with all the server admin and everything like that. So any database stuff and things like that, I can do if I need to do anything, fix anything, etc. That's not a problem. In any administration or the operating systems run Debian for everything. So I'm very conversed with being able to upgrade stuff for security and restart web servers and whatever. Day to day, actually, you can do this from a laptop pretty much anywhere, really. You have the ticket system, really, which is what you work from. So it's up to you how you want to do things. Personally, go in there, have a look at the tickets. Obviously, they're separated by general or advertising or corporate or complaint or somebody suggesting a new venue, or they're the different ones, and it's up to you how you spend your time on them, really. You can spend as little or as much time as you want adding venues. There are thousands of venues across the UK. There are thousands of venues at any time getting refurbished, whether it's their name being changed or money spent on them or whatever it is, or launching new menus and so on. You can spend hours and hours on the corporate websites downloading or emailing. Just if you email them, they quite happily send you a spreadsheet with all their venues on there, and you can add them to the site if they're not already there, or you can update the name changes, or you can update their latest photos and so on. There's comments to go through. I would say the thing that takes the most time are the comments, because it works on a system like TripAdvisor, Google, and everything else. Comments go up unmoderated immediately as soon as somebody posts them. Because of the nature of the site, most of the comments that go up that you need to remove are the ones that go up in the middle of the night when they've got back from the venue drunk because they've been either kicked out or they've just had a bad experience there or whatever. They seem to take out their anger on the venue itself and its owners, and so the comments get removed if they're too personal or if they break the site rules. There's various house rules like not naming staff, not sort of causing sort of any issues with regards to the legality of what the venue and what happens behind the scenes, or what happens, what you may have seen in there. If you can't, we can't confirm what they've seen or what's gone on, and whether somebody was sold a drink underage or anything like that. So we just remove those, to be honest, because that's not between us really and the site, and that doesn't work well for the venue owners as well. They don't particularly see us in a positive light when we're broadcasting what they say is untrue information. So we take the stance of obviously removing reviews that can't be verified legality wise, but when it comes to somebody complaining that they had a drink and it wasn't very cold, or their food was cold or something like that, then generally we ask the owners of the venue to address to the user directly, and they usually have a much better response that way, because then other users then see that the venue operator cares about their venue and isn't just trying to sweep all the bad reviews under the rug, because clearly they'll just get more bad reviews. It's a vicious circle, really. So regarding hours, okay, a lot of 2013 when I was busy, I hold my hand up and I have to say some weeks I only spent maybe 1 hour a week on it, and that was, not the best strategy by any means. More recently, I've had a lot more time. Just sort of earlier on this year, at least, I had a lot more time, and so I was spending like 10 to 20 hours a week, spread over like a couple of hours here, half an hour there, whatever. None of it needs to be done in one big chunk or anything like that, really. You could pay someone to do it if you wanted. Originally, when I took over the site, I had some staff that were doing other admin things for the other sites I was running. I was running various dating sites and stuff, and they also worked in the same way with regards to approving images and also admin with regards to updating content and such. So I had someone who literally their job was just to add venues and go through data correction, making sure phone numbers and postcodes were correct and the spelling of the names of the venues matched the correct photos and so on, things like that. So that's just basically a general admin person you need for that. The backups are automated. If you know your way around Linux, then you'll be absolutely fine. There's no major coding or anything you need to do day to day or anything like that. There's a couple of scripts that you run on the servers, one to process the images. So in regards to the images, there's on the admin section, you click images, click each image so you can see what it looks like, then you click yes or no, whether you approve it or not, and then once you're happy with all the images, you go log into the server and run a command, and the command just changes the dimensions of all the photos to the correct dimension on the site, and then it syncs them across to the image server, and it also syncs them across to the backup server, and that's it. That's all that's needed with the images, really. There are the premium customers do submit the odd event or job. When they do that, then we bought some scripts which show jobs and events on the site, and you just go to the back end of those and literally add the job or event that they've added. Most of them don't submit many things, to be honest. They're quite happy with just adding their website address to the page. That's the big thing for them, because they're then getting an authoritative link to their website from us as well. But also they can put a lot more information on their site than they ever can on ours. So I think that's about it, really.
That's pretty clear. Site growth, future expectations. What do you see if you were to keep the site, or if you were to keep the
Okay.
site, what do you think could improve it?
Well, immediately what could improve it would be if someone's got some development experience or knows a developer or can hire one cheap or whatever, get it integrated with the social networks. That's something the site has never done with, really. I mean, immediately registrations would go up by, no joke, 500, 1,000%, maybe more, if you had a register via Facebook or Twitter link instead of having to sign up via email and then click a link in the email. Same with the sharing. We do have add this on most of on the venue pages, but I don't know how many people actually use that. Well, I mean, we get the stats email through, and it's a very small amount of people that use this. But on the site generally, I think a lot of people just copy what's in the address bar and paste it on there. But if you could click like on the venue and it was already linked to your Facebook profile, then I think there'd be a lot more social network traffic going through there, and I think that would create a lot more traffic, definitely. There's various different sections that could be added to the site. There's loads of different segments you can add, and I've got ideas which I'll happily tell a new owner what they could do. I've also got HTML mock-ups of what the new site could look at. It just needs a developer to implement them, really. But I've got all the Photoshop and HTML pages already all done, which turn it into the old style reviews into a lot more modern sort of TripAdvisor style reviews, really. And again, that's two things they could do there. Finally, must get probably 10 or 20 tickets a month for people suggesting we either they are an app developer or they want to add data, they want to buy our data from us because they think there should be a beer in the evening app for the iPhone or Android devices, whatever. It's not something I've ever had experience in, app design or development, and it's something that it was on the to-do list and I've just never got around to. The site, as you look at it now, the traffic and the revenue and everything it's doing is brilliant, Back in 2001 to 2000 and say 8 or 9, yeah, it's fantastic. It's now, I'd say, looking a little bit dated. It needs a facelift, which, like I say, we've got the pages done, and it needs bringing, in line with social media. That's where I think you'll start seeing the growth and future expectations from the site will all sort of come from that, really. Again, there's always new venues opening and closing. The pub industry, although it's in the news quite a lot in the UK, it certainly isn't on a massive decline. A lot more people eat out in venues now. The smoking ban went through a few years ago, and so it's a major thing over here going around bars and pubs. And so, as shown by the site traffic, it certainly hasn't slowed down. With regards to the social networks or anything like that, it's still people still are going to Google and looking for venues. I think you'd like to say if you had the app, that would also help people do submit instant reviews and photos to the site instead of them coming back to the computer and doing it at a later date.
Sure, and as an outsider looking in, I mean, going to bars and doing that is a social thing, so to speak. So I think developing the social media, as you mentioned, would be helpful because they seem to go hand in hand. Um,
Yeah, just to touch on it, actually, one thing we were going to do was when we partnered with Foursquare, we were then going to look at partnering with them in their app and putting something to do with check-ins on the website, because people, obviously it was before Facebook check-in really came around. A Foursquare check-in was quite popular first, and we were going to do something so that users could check into pubs and perhaps create some sort of badge or loyalty system on the site which allowed users to score points for every venue they checked in at. And we'd also talked to a couple of the pub chains about if their users visited so many different of their venues each month, then being rewarded with their money off voucher or some sort of free drink or whatever at the next venue they went to. Those were all sort of in the pipeline, really, on the to-do list, but just not had time to do them, unfortunately. But there's loads more ideas like that. Obviously, I'm not going to make them all public for everybody here, but obviously the new owner is more than happy to have as many in-depth conversations with ideas and stuff with me as they wish.
and you're selling the site because you don't have time. Is that what you said?
That's it, yeah. As it is, I've spent 20 years in the internet industry and I've had an interesting 20 years with roller coasters of various different sites and projects. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, but my family do quite a lot of property stuff now, and I'm getting quite involved in that, and I'm not near a computer enough. I'm not office based enough, I would say, actually, to warrant me running a site or several sites like this. So that's the reason why I'm selling it. No other reason than that, to be honest. It's a great site and very, very easy to run. If you can run a business for, just an hour a week, then obviously, it's a great business to have. If you've got other properties like it that work with it, that's brilliant. If you don't, but you're somebody that buys properties and likes to have has got a massive Google AdSense account, then this is fantastic. Google have already like a premium publisher. We already get all the invites and stuff from them. I've never been to any of their meetings. I've had a couple of conference calls with them and loads of freebies in the post over the years from them and stuff like that. But to be honest, it needs somebody who's much more committed to just doing internet stuff to take it over.
Okay, fair enough. I see that the questions have been asked within the flow of the conversation, not only by what we had, but also Chris, you proactively doing it without knowing it. Um, no other questions that I see. You did a great job. It's a quality site. I know that every time I've contacted you with questions, you've been able to provide quick and accurate answers. Um, Anyone who has any questions should direct them. You'll see my contact information below. That's a cell phone, voicemail fine. Adam@latonas.com. My Skype is adam.latonas. And I'm working a lot, so send me any questions for Chris. And once we go down the road a bit, I can definitely set up a call among myself, Chris, and the person requesting it. NDA upon receipt of a signed NDA, and this recording will be live on Latona's easily within 24 hours, if not much sooner. So Chris, that's it. Great job. Thank you for your time, and I
Okay,
will
thank
be
you.
I will be in touch.
Okay, thanks very much. Thank you.
Take care.